Hey, Coach.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Oh, doing good. Staying in like everybody should be.
Man, no doubt. Hey, we're on live now. My name is Andrew Jensen. A lot of people know me as AJ. I work at the Bowlersmart Rockford Cherry location in the Cherry Bowl. Um, Coach Shockley here is has been in the area for quite some time. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself there, Coach?
Yeah, I've been here in Rockford, Illinois for going on about 5 years, doing what I love to do every day, and that's coaching. Most people don't know my name, Richard. It's all like coach. So it's pretty cool. Up here in Rockford, a lot of the lessons, I'm very fortunate to have a lot, but I have a ton of kids. Rockford, Illinois is one of the biggest areas as far as youth bowling, and particularly here in Rockford, they have girls national high school champions, state champions for the boys. But what I do is every day I'm over at Don Carter Lanes, coaching and teaching and doing my thing.
Awesome. Well, obviously, with some of the things that have been going on, things are a little different currently. But we used to do a show that we were doing quite a lot, and it's basically kind of been on hiatus for quite some time. And some of it had to do with my shop stuff being a little busier, and then with the pandemic kind of hitting the forefront, so to speak. It just kind of made it harder to do it, I think, and my technology understandings is really terrible. So it took me a minute to kind of figure some things out, how to go live, what to do, where to go, all those things. But my past history, in case those of you that didn't know, I have many years with Tom Kelly's Pro Shop back in Omaha, Nebraska, which is a really good has been a really good pro shop throughout the years. I think they've 50, 60 plus years involvement as far as pro shop business. I was able to then go from there to a nationals and work in the Storm booth in 2011 with Mark Anderson and Kenny, who I think now doesn't really work there anymore, but Mark does, I think, as far as I understand. And then from then, I've gone out to the nationals once again in 13 and worked the booth for 900 Global. Worked next to a few different really great people back then. Some of you might know Matt McNeil. He was along for the ride during that year that we worked there. But basically, we're coming back to you live. We're going to do some times scheduled out here with some different people that we're going to try to interview and kind of do some of the same things that you've seen with some of the other shows that have kind of popped up during this pandemic. What I'd like to do is lead into our guest for the day. Today's guest is Andrew Adler. We are going to ask him a bunch of questions, and if you feel like you've got something that you want to ask him while we're on here or ask any of us, then by all means go ahead, and it's what we're here for. So
Hi,
hey,
guys.
what's up, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
Everybody hear each other okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
So this is new for me overall with this whole bit with coming on for StreamYard. StreamYard is what I've used for this feed. What I'll probably continue to use for it. On my side of it, I can actually see some comments, and I don't know if you guys can see those or not.
Yeah, I can see the live comments. I have both. I have Facebook and StreamYard pulled up, so I can see everything.
Rich Parkhurst is a good friend of ours in the local area and does some coaching himself. Says, hey guys, good to see you, Coach. Hope you can do silver class. The current situation ends. Look forward to getting back on the lanes. Yeah, no doubt, man. All of us do, I think.
Right.
It's crazy to be away from the lanes.
Yeah, it's going on 2 months for me since I picked up a bowling ball because I was traveling the week prior to everything getting closed down. So I haven't picked up a bowling ball since the beginning of March, and it definitely feels different putting your hand in a bowling ball and getting that fit again. It's not the same.
We've done them just for using our for doing some workouts so that we don't get fat during this time off, and or fatter, I should say.
Yeah, fatter for my case.
Yep, exactly. Coach, you don't
I
ever
think
get me bigger.
I think I'm going to be good for 550 the first set. So,
550 is going to be good for me for the next few sets.
You got a nice bike behind you. Do you use that very often?
I just got it in. On Sunday, so I'm in the process of customizing some of the things. So it's more big guy friendly.
I like the big tires.
Yeah, I mean that's the key feature of it being big guy friendly is that the tires can support the larger individual.
That's funny stuff. Well, I think we have some questions for you personally from both Coach and I. And Coach is going to lead in with the first question. And as we go through this, we'll do the best that we can to answer people that are checking out the feed. Some of this is going to be a little new to me because I've got some things on my side. I've got to kind of bear with me on some of it. But
yeah,
Coach, if you want to go ahead and lead the way, I'll do my best to try and answer some questions while you're talking.
Yeah, Andrew, I want to start off with you and just get a little bit of a little history and how you got started in our sport, the bowling.
So I've been bowling since I was probably about 3 years old, pretty much when I could pick up a bowling ball and heave it down the lane. I got started in New York, as where I'm from, at a bowling alley called Gil Hodges Lanes. And it was an old, I think it was 62 or 64 lanes. I think it was 64 lanes on two sides. And I bowled there at youth league until I moved to Long Island. Then I moved down here in Florida. And I have been bowling literally since I was 3 years old. I haven't taken a year off. This is probably the longest hiatus I've had bowling since I was 3 or 4 years old. So.
Wow, that's quite a history. Terrific. Can you give us a little bit of a history of how you got started with us at Bowlersmart?
I mean, I got started through bowling. I met Cliff, I think, back in 2011. We became very fast friends. The funny story is that he was looking for a house down here in Florida. I think he was living in North Carolina at the time. And through a mutual friend, Sean Ryan, he basically came to stay for the weekend at my place. I had an apartment in Tampa, and it was an easy place for him to go and hop around and look at different houses around town. And well, one weekend turned into about a month of him sleeping on my couch and hanging out. And we became very fast friends, really, really strong friends. And he had always mentioned that he wanted me to come and work for Bowlersmart. And come 2016, I think it was July, the opportunity presented itself very quickly. And he had offered me a position, and I didn't hesitate. And here we are almost 4 years later.
Wow. That's terrific. I've known Cliff for many, many years and very fortunate to have him as a close, dear friend. Cliff's a great guy.
Yes, he is. He's definitely one of the good guys.
He's one of those guys I don't think anybody would know if they saw him, really, if they didn't know him.
That's
they
true.
Wouldn't even I don't think they would think he was an owner of anything. I think they would just think he's just some guy that's loves bowling.
Yeah, he's just a regular Joe like the rest of us, and he just so happens to run Bowlersmart.
Right. I've got some questions myself, and what are the day-to-day operations like for you with the company?
So I have a few roles that I take care of while working for Bowlersmart. Over the years, I've taken on more, and I've delegated some to allow us to be successful and to allow us to handle the growth that we've experienced over the few years that we've been in existence. So day to day, I usually handle any customer service issues that are on the websites. Emails come straight to me, and I usually take care of them. I handle reconciliations for credit cards. I handle reconciliations for deposits. I handle payroll issues and taking care of payroll for everybody. I handle any defects that our customers get from any one of our locations or through any one of our online channels. I take care of being the middle guy between the distributors, manufacturers, and our customers. So I handle those as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I do.
It's a big workload, like we see it day in and day out.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I try to handle with the amount of work that I do is I try to schedule out my day. So I section off a few hours each day to do specific tasks and just kind of inch those ahead. And that way, nothing really gets too far behind. And I try to stay on top of everything as best as I can.
Yeah, it can be overbearing, I'm sure, at times with the amount of people that you have to deal with.
It can be, but it's rewarding to make sure that everybody's taken care of and happy, and knowing that the guys have the tools and customers have the ability to do what they want to do and just be happy with everything that's going on. It's a little bit tougher when I'm traveling and visiting you guys, but I still manage to try to take some time when I'm at the hotel or even while I'm in the stores with you guys. You'll see me pop out the laptop and handle some business because things pop up and you need to take care of them. Yeah,
no doubt. Leading into the next question, what is the philosophy of Bowlersmart as a company?
So when we talk about the philosophy of Bowlersmart, we talk about the why, like why we do what we do. And I think on an individual basis, each one of us as an employee has a different why as to why they're part of Bowlersmart and why they do what they do on a daily basis. For me, I thoroughly enjoy seeing people happy. And most people that know me will know that that's the truth, is that I enjoy seeing people smiling, and I enjoy people seeing just being happy and loving the sport that we're involved in. Like I said, I've been doing this since I was 3, and I've worked just about every side of the business other than in the manufacturing and distribution side. But I've worked in the bowling centers, from being a porter all the way up to running bowling centers. And now I'm part of this company, and I'm handling the day-to-day operations for this company. And it's extremely rewarding to be part of making people happy in the sport of bowling.
Man, no doubt. We certainly love you and respect everything that you do for us. And
thank you.
It's unbelievable what you have to deal with, and I think often Coach and I talk about even that it's a matter of wearing as many hats as you possibly can sometimes in this company, doing anything and everything you can to profess how much you love bowling, and it's not hard to do when you do love it. You know, it doesn't even seem like a job when you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have a pretty good amount of work that I do on a daily basis, but I do it because I love doing it. I wouldn't see myself doing anything else. It's amazing. It's fun. It's nerve-wracking. It's exhausting. It's exciting. It's everything. And I've been doing it for almost 4 years now, and I have yet to stop being surprised by this business.
Yeah, I want everybody to know too. Excuse me. I just want you to know, Andrew, that being a little bit of an old guy, senior citizen, and technology problem, and AJ knows this. He helps me out. That's what appreciated what you do for me whenever my reports and everything come in to help me through the process, because sometimes I don't really know what I'm doing, and you guys help the old man out.
Oh yeah, I do that too. I create the reports and track all of our coaching initiatives and things like that. So it's No, it's my pleasure. Trust me. My job is to help you guys succeed, and that's what I like doing at the end of the day. Again, making you guys happy and making your lives easier is what makes me happy. So,
what is your vision for the future of our company and how we will get through this pandemic that we're currently through?
I don't think this changed our vision. We'll still want to take care of our customers to the best of our ability. We're going to provide excellent service in any one of our locations, through our website, through any of our online channels. We're dedicated to making sure that you guys have the best experience possible when you walk into our doors or you access one of our websites. That will never change, regardless of what's going on out here. We're gonna, as we continue to reopen some of our locations and some of the bowling centers that we're involved in reopen, we will be watching all the state and federal guidelines and mandates and making sure that we're following them out of an abundance of caution. And again, providing you the best experience you can possibly have when you come into our doors or access our website. We're gonna be clean. We're gonna take care of everything for you. So,
yeah, definitely. Yep, definitely. A little bit less serious of a question. If you were to have one ball that you could bring back from the past, what would that ball be?
This is a tough one because there's a lot. I've thrown a lot of bowling balls over the 33 years or 32 years that I've been bowling, and I can tell you that my first bowling ball that was reactive that I threw was Brunswick Defense Zone. That was the first reactive ball I got. I went from 12-pound bowling ball to a 15-pound bowling ball. Could barely throw it, and it took me a year to get used to it. It took me the whole season, but I got used to it. I loved it. If I was to bring one bowling ball back, honestly, it would probably be the Storm, the Paradigm.
Nice.
Absolutely love that ball. There was just something different about it. I didn't have a reaction like that in my bag. And to this day, it's still different. I try to keep it as long as I could before it eventually cracked on me. But it's I love the way it smelled. I love the way it rolled. It was just a fantastic bowling ball for me. So if you guys decide to re-release it, you probably won't. But if you do, let me know.
That's funny. We had a guy that was that used to call it the Paradigm.
Yeah.
We would always joke about it whenever we saw him.
That ball was special for me. I don't know. I loved it a lot. There were a lot of them. There were a lot of bowling balls, but that one really stands out for me.
That's cool. That's
Hey,
nice.
Back when you were bowling with that ball, what were some of the lane conditions like back then in those days? What year would that be, Andrew? Again,
So that was probably 2005, 2006. So I was in the middle of college. So I bowled for USF, University of South Florida. That's where I went to school. And we were a small program. We actually refounded the program back in 2003, 2004. And I was able to get that ball through our college purchasing program. And so we bowled on some of the animal patterns. We bowled on some customized patterns that were being introduced in college bowling. So they were tough. But particularly our home house was, they were HPLs, and they were only 3 years old, 2 years old. So they didn't have a ton of lineage on them. So it was difficult when they put out sport shots.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So leading into something else as far as that, how would you describe your bowling? Well, your revs, speed, unlike me being rev challenged.
Well, I
go ahead with that one. How would you describe your game? You rev daddy?
I don't think I am. A lot of people think I put a good amount on the ball. I don't think I do. I think I'm probably around 425, maybe. I haven't measured it in years, though. So it's definitely less than it used to be in college. I used to try to yam on it as much as I possibly could, and now I have a busted wrist for it. So I don't do that anymore. Now it's all about control.
Oh, wow.
And my wrist is all messed up. So it's all about control and balance and, keeping your body in the best possible condition it can be, although I'm not in any condition to be bowling right now. But so probably about 400, 425 off the hands, 16 and a half miles an hour. Nothing crazy.
That's pretty good. You just take that rev rate and divide it in half, and that's what I got. But that's okay.
You've been throwing all these honor scores with that rev rate, so you got to keep that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're got your hand in this ball and your speed, everybody has a part of the lane that's in your comfort zone. AJ will tell you that I play fourth and fifth arrow, not, and if I stand anywhere left of the big dot, I have nosebleed. So here and there, I play the ball. I'm straight up the lane, buddy. I got to have help. But anyway, what's your favorite part of the lane? Where's your comfort zone?
Well, if you asked any of my friends / enemies, they would tell you it's 18 to the right. And that's what they would normally say, 18 to the right or 18 to 10. So that's, I mean, track area is pretty comfort at the break point. Anywhere left is fine for me. The
So does that mean you like to
get, the better. What?
So does that mean you like to swing it?
I do. That if the opportunity presents itself for me to be able to swing the lane, I will definitely be doing that. I can play up the boards. It's not my comfort zone, so that's why I bowl bad at nationals every year. But when I get to swing the lane, it starts to be a lot easier for me.
That's funny stuff. Hey, we're gonna side note. I have a question or two here coming up that we've set aside for you, but
Okay.
Mr. Joe Syracuse has a question. It says, "Do storm balls crack?" What's your vision on that idea?
Sorry, I just read a comment from Sean Ryan. He's being Sean. So for Joe, the every bowling balls company, bowling balls crack. So it's not related to just Storm. It's not related to Brunswick or Ebonite or Motive. I will tell you that I get defects from every company.
Yeah.
And so it's not relegated to just one.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I mean, it's one of the things that, like, from us, it's an easy answer, and we've gone through many meetings, even when you guys have thrown meetings together for us for the summer when we do our manager meetings. You've had guys come in that are from different distributors, and they'll, the rate of how many balls are made and all that kind of thing can certainly add to the idea of how it would progressively look like another company to another company. But I think overall, they're all hitting a really good stride towards holding that whole back. I mean, I would think.
I think it's somewhere in the 1%, or even for some companies is less than 1% that get defected out that they have, as far as reported is concerned. So it's pretty solid statistics.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Leading into the next question, when you go to bowl, how many balls do you take with you to league?
I would normally take a 3-ball bag in, so it's usually like my benchmark ball, a dry lane ball, and then my spare ball. If I'm feeling frisky and I want to try something new out, I'll bring in an extra 3-ball bag. So I'll bring in 6 at the most usually. But that's, again, if I wanted to try something new out, or if I'm having trouble with the conditions and I've been struggling, I'm going to just try something else out and see what fits.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Coach and I joke about it all the time, and we'll be bowling league on Thursday, and obviously that's some time away now from when we last bowled. But I'll take any more. I was taking 3 down to for our Thursday league. I was just taking 3, and then I would end up like leaving for moments to go take care of something. And they've been all like, "Where did you go?" And Coach would be like, "Oh, you went to go get another ball." I'm like, "Yep." I go, that third one just didn't quite get me where I needed to go.
Yeah, I know Kimball's on our team, AJ's wife, and I'll look around. I'll go, "Well, where did he go?" And he said he's making a run for the shop. Oh, another one. So he may run in the shop a couple of times. Then I think one time you forgot your keys and you had to run back. So
yeah.
But yeah.
How many would you take for a tournament if you're going to go to a tournament?
I'll usually take 8. I'll usually take 2 3s and like a double tote, but usually no more than that. And for nationals, I take 6. For pretty much anything that I'm going to travel, I usually take 6 to 8. That's probably going to be it. If I can't figure it out with 6 to 8, then I'm just going to bowl like crap, and that's what it is.
True that. If you were in that 6 or in the 8, depending on whichever one it is a spare ball going to be included?
So I use a urethane ball as my spare ball. So it fills dual roles and it saves me an extra spot in the bag. So I just flatten my wrist out and throw it as hard as I can at my spares and pray.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much. I mean, as far as like going to nationals, I think that my wife would tell me that I need to have a spare ball. When it comes to my thoughts, I always think that it needs to be not included, considering that you need different shapes in your bag for what you're going to see. I think, but
I personally, again, I use a urethane ball as my spare ball. Some people prefer plastic. It takes the lane and pattern out of play. Urethane does that to a lesser effect. But urethane works really well for me. I've been using it for a number of years now. And before that, I used plastic balls. So it's not like I hadn't used them prior to this, but that's just what fits well with my game right now. And so that's what I choose to use.
Cool. Next question leads into, obviously, this would be probably pre-pandemic, I suppose, maybe post, considering that we're where everything's at currently. But what are your balls of choice currently, and what could we find in your bag?
So I don't play favorites. I have a little bit of everything in my bag. I have, if you take a look at the 6 that I currently have that are sitting in the bags right now, I have a purple urethane. That's my spare ball / urethane ball. I have a Destiny Solid, the magenta one. I have a Rotogrip Halo Pearl. I have an IQ Emerald. And I have was that 4 right there? I have a Melee Jab SE. And what else do I have in the bag? I gotta think of the last one. I think it's a hero. I have a hero in the bag. I know that. So, and that I interchange 1 or 2 of those bowling balls, depending on where I'm bowling. So, but those are the 6 that I mainly use right now.
Nice. Yeah, hero is very underrated ball, I feel.
I like it. I tried something different on it, and it's that's working out so far. So
yeah, that's good.
Before I get to the next question, guys, the advent of the tour, the popularity of seeing so many of the urethane balls going down the lane, which is pretty amazing. I know at Junior Gold, we have a lot of the kids, obviously, that take the urethane too to play the short pattern. But I just think that's something in my days, we never did see that. Back in the old days we did, but not so much today.
So true. Yeah. So true.
Yeah. I think urethane's definitely a weapon of choice for a lot of score shots and different patterns and things like that. If they're used the correct way, it's a really good tool to have. If it's not used the correct way, it could screw up a lot of stuff. So it just gives you a bad look if you don't use it effectively. You just got to know what urethane does and use it to its advantage.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I got another question here, of course. Boss, who are your top 3 professional bowlers, and both men and women?
Okay. Top 3. Let's see, of all time for the men. Couch is up there, only because he's.
Oh no!
I know. Jason's gonna get a bigger head from this now. But
I love it.
I know Jason personally. I used to watch him on TV when I was a child, and he was still competing out on tour because he's that old. And I just love. I loved watching him. He was intense. He was fired up. He threw the ball amazing. He still does. I mean, I get to watch him bowl tournaments and some local stuff now, and I mean, it's just fantastic being able to watch him. Couch is up there. Norm Duke is up there. I just think he's amazing at what he does, and there are few people that throw the ball better than him. And he makes every shot come to him, and he's just there's nothing else that needs to be said. He's just fantastic. And then my third, It's tough. If I had to pick all time, it'd probably be Parker. Honestly, I like Parker. He's just a stand-up human being. He's really nice. He's really personable. Again, someone that kind of stands the test of time. His shot over the years has stayed relatively the same, and the way he approaches things, and I mean, he just throws the ball effortlessly. So I liked watching those three on TV the most. So
Before we get into the girls, back in the day, for 6 years in the early 2000s, you mentioning those three bowlers, I was very, very fortunate to be given the opportunity to start the Kegel Training Center in Sebring, Florida. And you mentioning those three bowlers, when we were doing the lane maintenance for the tour, John Davis, rest his soul, he came up to me one day and he says, "Coach, we're going to be the training center for the Pro Tour." And I went, "What tour?" He said, "The Pro Bowlers Tour." I said, "The men Pro Bowlers?" And he said, "Sure, they're all going to be coming in. They're going to be calling. So whenever you want to set a time for them, you're it." So you're mentioning those three, and just to go on here, the lefty Jason Couch spent a ton of hours down at the Kegel Training Center. He was there a lot when he was off tour, and he worked a lot on his game before he hurt his knee. And it was pretty cool to work with Jay before he got his three TLCs. And I love that guy. He's great. And the day after I worked with him, maybe 2 or 3 days after I worked, I got a phone call from a guy that you just mentioned, who lives in the same part of Florida where Jason does.
okay.
And it was Norm Duke. And I said, Norm says, "I want to come down and work out a little bit with you." And I'm just going, I'm about ready to pass out. And and I'm like, it was just something else to see that guy and the magic that he could do and the videos and playing any part of the lane. And quick Corey, if I could keep going here, he had to take a break and he was a little bit tired. And I said, "Hey, Norm, can I maybe throw your ball?" And he said, "Sure, go ahead. Be careful." I said, what does that mean? And there was no way that I could throw that ball with as sharp as his fingers were. And I don't know if you've heard that story of Norm, but they are right off the press.
Oh yeah.
And it's amazing. And also we had many seminars, and Parker would come in, and it was great to see Parker. What a great guy for the sport. Always signs autographs like the other two guys. But the three of those guys were in the training center at one time. So I think that's pretty cool that you just brought that up.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, like I said, growing up, those were the top three people that I loved watching. And, I used to watch it over my buddy Kevin's house back in New York. We would sit down and we'd watch taped, we'd watch taped tournaments, we'd watch live tournaments, whatever we could watch as far as bowling was concerned, we watched it. And those three were always on. And it was just awesome to watch them. So.
Okay, let's move on to who are the girls.
So the top three girls, I didn't watch much of the girls tour when I was younger. I watched them a lot more recently now that we're heavily involved in supporting the tour. So it's the top three that I enjoy watching. I like watching Verity Bowl. I like watching Daria Bowl. And I probably would say I can't really say the top three. It's probably gonna be top four. So I would toss up top four. The top two spots are Stephanie and Shannon, Stephanie Johnson and Shannon O'Keefe, and they're they're intense. They're fired up. I've known Stephanie since college. She used to bowl for UCF over with Sean, and she was a couple years ahead of me. But I remember watching them bowl in some of the tournaments, and they were amazing. They were just levels ahead of everybody, and obviously because they're on tour, it's shown that they withstood the test of time. She still wins titles, she still competes, and she's a mother, and she has 2 kids. Stephanie, I'm sorry, I think you have 3 kids.
Yeah.
And she handles and juggles all of those things, and still is fiercely competitive on tour. So it's fun watching them compete.
Coach, I'm going to interrupt you real quick for a couple things.
Sure.
I know you got another question or here following up on this one. Adler, we've got some specials that we wanted to toss up there. Is that what we were also looking at here?
Yeah, so we do have a special that we're running on our website right now. This is available for anybody that wants to go on and take a look. You go to bowlersmart.com. Right now we're running a special on the Hammer Bosses. It's a universal bowling shoe for the men. Normally these shoes are in the 175 range. We're running them for $99.95. We have sizes available between size 8 and 13 in the men's. And one of the key features about these shoes is that they are universal right-handed or left-handed. The soles and heels can be interchanged between the two shoes, so you don't have to worry about ordering a left-handed pair or a right-handed pair. They're very comfortable. They were top-of-the-line leather shoes from Hammer and KR when they were released, and we just have some at the warehouse we wanna move, and it's a really good opportunity to get a pair for under $100.
I gotta tell you, those are probably the most comfortable shoe that I have probably ever worn. I think the only one that would maybe stand up there in the same would be maybe the 3Gs. I like the 3Gs quite a bit.
Sure.
But yeah, they're like pillows on your feet.
Yeah, they have a really good Ortholite insole. The crystallized rubber on the outside, on the top part of that shoe where you see it near the toe area, that's designed to help mitigate any toe drag that you guys might have. So if there's somebody out there that drags their toe quite a bit and you see, the front part of your shoe rubbing off or rubbing away, that crystallized rubber is there to help make sure that happens a lot less and try to, extend the life of your shoes. So
nice, very nice. We will. I'm gonna leave that up for just a second, and we had a couple of comments that came through. I'll leave it up to either one of you to maybe say or answer what you think on this one, and I'll move it down as soon as you guys get a chance to read it.
Is that the plastic to urethane? Is that the one you're looking at? From Thomas? Thomas, so when moving from plastic to urethane as a spare ball, is there an adjustment? I asked because urethane could hook more. Yeah, there's definitely going to be an adjustment. There was an adjustment for me when I went from plastic to urethane. Again, the plastic ball takes the lane out of play, so you don't see really any hook out of it when you throw a ball at a pin. So, you tend to be a little bit more straighter. You tend to keep your angles, your lines straight towards your targets. Urethane ball, for me, it was a 2 or 3 board left adjustment, and I just upped the speed a little bit, and that kind of mitigated any hook that the urethane ball was going to have going down the lane. So.
Very nice. Hopefully that helps Thomas with his question. One more I'm going to pop up on the screen here, and it's Anthony's referring to the thumbless bowling.
Your thoughts on thumbless bowling, pros and cons? If you feel like you have really good control over the ball and you're throwing without your thumb, and you're consistent with it shot after shot, continue doing it. There are plenty of people out there, that throw the ball without the thumb. If you're throwing it one-handed, you can look at Tom Doherty. He's probably the most recognizable person out on the tour right now that throws it without the thumb. And if you're two-handed, you have a plethora of people that you can look at for instructions on how to throw the ball two-handed. A coach would probably have some better details on pros and cons for bowling thumbless. So
we see that quite a bit up here, Coach.
Yeah, we have a ton of kids. Of course, the young guys are really wanting to emulate what they're seeing on tour. The amazing part about how smooth that Belmo is, and a lot of these kids, they've got moving parts, and they don't realize that if they're smoother and they don't have their head movement and everything, they can still obviously get the rev rate. But yeah, there's a ton of those. My dream team is to have 5 girls two-handed.
That'd be awesome.
Pretty cool. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I would say, like, my overall thoughts personally, since we have all 3 of us and we all have different opinions, I think, on things. But most of it are pretty similar. Honestly, I think if you're happy bowling, I think you just need to do whatever you're going to do. If it's two-handed, great. If it's one-handed, great. If it's 2 fingers, one hand, great. If it's, one finger, I've got a couple of guys that we've drilled some balls that guys just like to put their middle finger in the ball, and that's it. It's weird, but okay. It is what it is. Keith, I think, has drilled a couple where the guy's middle finger actually wouldn't bend, and actually had to put his pointer finger in and the ring finger
Okay.
And so it realistically made it look like he was flipping you off when he was throwing the ball, but it's just because he couldn't bend his fingers. So made for a good picture anyway.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
That's definitely different.
We'll go with one more here, guys. Andrew, in your travels in the past over the years, what are some of the coolest places that you've been?
I can think of a couple. It was actually a couple of years ago. We went to Syracuse for nationals, and so we took a couple days before the tournament to go and kind of explore around a little bit. We flew into Buffalo, I believe, and so we spent a couple days in Buffalo, and we actually visited Niagara Falls on the U.S. side. And I mean, that place was gorgeous. I loved seeing that stuff. And we actually visited a few other falls along the way as we were road tripping from Buffalo to Syracuse. And it was that was a really cool trip. I enjoyed it. We hung out. We had a lot of good friends that came with us. Gerald was with us. Cliff, obviously. Jimmy Hutchison. So we had a really good time, and it was nice to be able to spend a couple days just kind of exploring a little bit before we did anything with the tournament. And then I would probably say I like driving through the mountains. So we did a road trip from Florida all the way up through to Michigan, and we took a route that took us through West Virginia, and it was just gorgeous. Just driving through the mountains. It was probably October, so it was just turning into fall, and it was I loved it. I enjoy like sightseeing, things like that. So it was really cool.
That sounds really cool. Just to throw in one thing here, being able to travel a little bit. Somebody might not have ever seen this before. I was able to ride a camel in front of the pyramids bowling over there.
Wow.
So that was a pretty cool place in Cairo, Egypt. And slipped over to Abu Dhabi in the Middle East, and bowling is completely different over there, guys. I'm telling you. But well, those are some cool places. AJ, what's your next question for him?
So these are just going to be some off the difference of bowling, but more of, well, maybe some bowling. But the one is, what's your go-to food that you can eat at any time, all the time? Mine would be like Mexican food. I could eat Mexican food all the time. What would be yours?
I have two.
Steak.
You can't turn down a good steak, but my two go-to foods that no matter what I'll always eat, it's going to be Chinese food and pizza. Those are the two. And usually it's those first two things. Whenever if I move to a new city or area, I look for a good Chinese food place. And I look for a good New York style pizza place.
I love pizza. Pizza is definitely, like, Kim will ask me all the time, like, what do you want to eat? And I'll say either Mexican or it'll be some form of pizza.
Yeah.
Coach, pizza is a pretty good thing for you at night, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I like, of course, being alone by myself here and being lazy. I like Papa John's right at the door.
Yeah. That's funny.
Pretty cool. Boss, if this is kind of a funny question, I hope. If you had to show up and bowl one of our managers, our shop guys, in a best of 3 game match, who of our guys would it be, and why?
Man, if I had to bowl against somebody, if I wanted to win, it wouldn't be against any of our shop guys because they're all pretty good. I would bowl against Michael Bauer just to destroy him. And if I had to pick somebody that I wanted to be competitive with against any of our shop guys, it's going to be pretty much anybody. All of our shop guys are really talented. We're all across the spectrum as far as talent is concerned. Some of us have some city records and some center records. I've seen guys shoot 860s up there, 870s. I think Queso has 879. I would not want to bowl him. Not want to bowl Polizzi. They're too good. I wouldn't want to bowl you, AJ, because you're too good.
Me and my 810 I leave that you take pictures of.
Yep. Well, I mean, any opportunity I can, I will. Yeah. So I mean, any of the guys we're all pretty competitive when it comes to bowling, except Michael Bauer. He's pretty terrible.
He is terrible at
I
lots.
know we took on a great guy, a great coach for our company down in Florida, Mike Moore, and he had the amazing 300 front 10 and front 11. Did you remember hearing about that?
Yeah, I actually watched. I watched the podcast. They talked about it. It was the Real Life Bowling podcast with Chris Polizzi and Anthony Queso. They had Mike Moore on as a guest for their 5th podcast, I believe it was, and they spent about an hour and a half talking about everything and anything bowling. And part of it was he had a state record. I think it's the state record for 4 games, and it's like 1180 or something like that. And he went 300, 300, 299, and then I think it was 279 or 289 the last game. It was some ridiculous set, but he had 900 going into the very last shot, and he left a stone 7 pin, I think is what it was. He'd be able to tell you for sure. But if you want to hear about that story, go check out their podcast. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Under Real Life Bowling. They have some really, really good insight and features and stuff on there. I think they just uploaded a new one yesterday with Sean Nauman talking about the health side of bowling. So,
yeah, their podcasts have been really fun to watch. They're very enjoyable. Those guys are putting together really good videos together. It's really nice.
Yeah, they have a really good perspective on things because they're students of the game. Not that we aren't, but they're out there trying to do the tour life and bowl competitively out on the regional tour and the national tour when they have the opportunity to. And it's fun hearing how they engage themselves in that and what their or the practice regimens are and their mental state and things like that. It's intriguing listening to how they go about doing the competition because it's not something that I've ever done. So,
yeah, no doubt. So we do, not to separate from the conversation so quickly, but we do have another question. Maybe make this one of our last questions potentially, considering how long we've been on already.
Yeah.
Pop it up here for you guys to see.
What are the top 2 or 3 things you look for when coaching two-handers that does not apply to a conventional single-hand toss? Any suggested coaching collateral resources? That one's on you, Coach.
Go ahead.
He's calling you out. He's saying that you got to answer this one out, Coach. So I'm going to leave it up to you too.
Well, the number one thing is to be sure that you've got yourself set up in a really, really good position. There's a lot of guys that are kind of a variation, which is one of the things that I've seen. It can be sometimes get them in trouble. A lot of people don't realize if you talk about the tempo, I look at what the smoothness of a lot of these guys are, if they're keeping their body in a relatively stable position. And not having a lot of movement. I think a lot of two-handers really, really want to have too much movement in their body. And depending on how they get there, a lot of them, of course, I look for the hop. There's a lot of coaches that might not say these guys have to have a hop to give them a little bit more acceleration to be able to do that. And to get the left hand off the ball if they're right-handed at the right time at the bottom of the swing. If you look at it, when the left hand comes off, they're predominantly a power player with one hand. And get the left hand off the ball to me is a key thing too. And particularly with all my kids up here, make your spares. So that could be tough for two-handers. But anyway, that's just something I want to throw in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I saw another question up here. For Thomas, when choosing a urethane ball, would you prefer a dull or polished cover? Well, most urethane balls come dull. Even the pearls, they're not at a high gloss finish like you would see on a reactive bowling ball. It's just coming from the technology that's behind urethane cover stocks. It's very, very hard to polish. So, I mean, just take it at box right now and see what it does, and then you can make your adjustments from there.
We did.
Yeah,
I agree, 100%. We did miss one question earlier on that was probably one of our first questions. I'm going to pop it back up there.
Okay.
So that get a chance to see that. This one's from Kurt Schmidt. What is the biggest key to stop pulling down on the ball? Either of you guys have a suggestion or a thought on that one?
Go ahead, Andrew. I'll see what you say first.
All right. Well, pulling down, you're usually muscling through the ball. You're accelerating, using your arm muscles through the swing. The biggest thing is to try to loosen that up and use your arm as a pendulum. So when you get to the top of the swing, top of your backswing, just let the ball fall down and use the momentum from your lower half of your body, your legs, to generate your ball speed, and not worry about trying to generate speed through your arm.
Yeah, there's so many. I probably would say the majority of the lessons that I give is that key issue is when they pull from the top. I like to give a swing drill where I'll have them do a free swing and then catch it, free swing and then catch it. And I'll have one where they come up and I'll catch it and I'll tell them I'm going to drop it and really relax your arm and just let it fall. I think the key word here is to have pendulum and no muscling of the swing. You know, I do use one of the Bowling Buddies tools, the bowling pin, the rubber pin that you can swing to use that. A lot of you have the problem pulling down. I would highly recommend you get one of those training tools throughout Bowling Buddy.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of those. I mean, you mentioned Stephanie earlier. We've definitely seen some of that product being used from some of the pros, trying to stay in their swings. I mean, you could even do it if you didn't want to spend the money. You can even do it with a bowling ball you have at home, like Verity's been doing, setting up some pillows and stuff like that to kind of roll on.
Yeah, it's just trying to, doing those little practice things and just trying to keep your swing free. It's extremely important to try to keep that muscle memory there, and to ensure that you have as free of a swing as humanly possible. You don't want to muscle it because that creates an inconsistency at the bottom of your swing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one more thing too. One more thing too is a lot of times when you look at this pulling from the top of the swing, you can see they're grabbing because of a bad fit, and that can also cause an issue too.
Sure, absolutely. You definitely. I know that when I get back into it, the first thing I want to be doing is going to the shop and checking my fit and making sure that my fit's still the same. Because at this point in time, you should probably check your fit every 6 months. I wouldn't go more than a year to do that. Honestly, I think it's important that you have your fit checked. I think it's important to question that stuff. If it feels good, it's great. If you feel a little off, just take a look at it. Have them check it out. Maybe a pitch needs to be adjusted. Maybe you need to shorten the span a little bit. Maybe you need to lengthen the span a little bit. But it definitely pays to have that checked out every 6 months or so.
Yeah,
Andrew,
I know in Rockford,
sorry,
AJ, you have a ton of kids in Rockford that come in for grip checks and in my lessons that shoot them over to you, and I know you have a lot of that in our city.
Yeah, we really do. I think we're pretty like on our side of it, and I know that Adler sees us quite a bit because there are some things that you deal with from our company standpoint. We actually have a ton of new bowlers that we get to see due to the graciousness of the proprietors here giving away bowling balls to new bowlers. So we get a lot of times we get fits even through that. Just to kind of check those kind of things out. But definitely with this time frame being gone and 2 months or so roughly of maybe being before we're back on the lanes, I know that I've already noticed it even with my bowling balls, which is strange to me because I don't ever have any issues usually with my stuff. But it's like maybe the fact that I'm not eating as much and stuff like that, or making better choices since we're off or whatever. I think my hand is shrinking a little bit more when I go to put my hand on the ball, like the one I got back next to me here. The thumb is a little bit big. The fingers feel like they're ginormous, compared to what they felt like when I was actually bowling more often.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Adler, do you have a quick second since you did have I've only got one screen here. I'm unprepared, unfortunately, with this concept. But is there a chance that you could pull up our news area where it showcases off all of the articles?
Yeah, absolutely. It's right here.
I'm going to pop this up on the screen also. I don't know if very many people will get a chance to see this, but we would like to at least showcase this if you don't get a chance to see it through some of the feeds that we put out. But I mean, if you want to elaborate on some of this too, since this is stuff that you guys kind of see as well, Andrew.
So I actually threw the link into the chat there in the comments section. You can take a look at it right there.
Awesome.
But we always, pretty much on a daily basis right now, we're posting our articles and resources for you guys as bowlers to take a look at. It's going to talk about anything from layouts to lane conditions. It's going to have some of the podcasts from like Real Life Bowling in there. It's going to have some coaching articles from MDM Coaching, from Shockley, from John Gaines, who used to be one of our coaches as well. He's a very accomplished bowler. He's going to have some articles on there that we had in the past that are still relevant to today's game. We're going to have some interviews in there with some manufacturers and from some ball designers that are on there. Mo Pinnell's on there. Phil Cardinal's on there. Brian Graham, who's the Vice President of Sales and Aftermarket Products, is on there. And it's just a vast amount of information that's available to you that you can take a look at, read the articles, glean the information off of there and use it as you see fit. There's also going to be some bowling ball reviews on there too. So when we're getting ready to go back out onto the lanes, you'll have an idea of some of the bowling balls that might match up to your game and the conditions that you face. It's always good to check with your local pro shop operator, the guy you go to get your stuff drilled, and see what's going to be the best fit, and use the reviews from the website, use the recommendations from your pro shop guy, and then find the best fit for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know that I will pan through here and try to post up one of these a day in our shop page. But like another gentleman who's in here is one of our really good workers. We didn't really touch base with this, so maybe it's a good way to kind of get into it. But Mike Calhoun has been doing a ton of articles. I know that I've been trying to also add into it. We have Mike Moore that does a ton of them. We mentioned earlier with that 11 billion that he scored for 4 games.
11 billion.
Yeah. But they have some really good stuff in here, and I know that Mike does like a Pro Tip Friday type thing, and Mike Calhoun has this great facility that you guys have gotten yourselves into business wise.
I've got it. I like that.
The Bowling IQ store. Maybe you can touch base on that as well, since
Absolutely.
we didn't really have much chance.
Yeah, so we actually we got this facility back at the end of November. It was something that we wanted for a little bit, and we were presented with the opportunity to take it over. We jumped on it, and Mike Calhoun was one of our store managers up there. He was managing our Canton, Michigan location, and he is. I mean, if you're not friends with him on Facebook, you should be friends with him on Facebook. Like, he is a resource for positivity, a resource for just pushing yourself as hard as you can and moving forward and just being the very best you that you can be. And he's been nothing short of amazing for us in our company. He's a resource for the guys that work for us. He's a resource for me at some points in time when I need a little pep talk or a little pick me up. I talk to him about it. He's just so positive, so straightforward. And so when we were presented with the opportunity to take over Bowling IQ, Mike was top of my list to try to do it. I know that he wanted to do something more with the company, and he wanted to get some involvement in coaching and lessons. And now that it's Bowlersmart IQ up there in Sterling Heights, Michigan, it has 8 lanes that he can do lessons on there. We do clinics. We've done ball demos there. We did we did a Mo Pinnell clinic there back in late January, and it was an awesome event that we had. It was on a Saturday there. We're going to be doing some more once we reopen everything. We'll be able to handle some more classrooms once we figure out the logistics behind it with whatever's going to go on state and federal wise with mandates for spacing and things like that. We will continue to host things there, continue to do lessons there. It's got a pro shop in there with 2 drill presses. It has any and everything that you could want from a bowling equipment perspective. Every bowling ball, there's like 150 bowling balls on the wall, all of the bowling bags, shoes, accessories, you name it, we got it. Mike can drill it. Mike can take care of you. And then we have Brent, Mike's son, who's actually the assistant manager there. And we have Josh Scargal, who's our technical guy over there. He sets everything up, keeps everything up in tip-top shape. They've all been absolutely fantastic in making sure that place is successful.
Yeah, it's really been a blessing, and I love chatting with Mike from week to week. He's got a lot of info, a lot of positivity. If you follow any of this stuff that we've been putting out at all, like we have a Twitch page where you've been on Twitch playing games with Will Schnack, the local here, pro shop running the Rockford store. Mike is on there usually, and man, to get some, he's definitely a great motivational speaker, and I think it's one of those things where it's really difficult to get 2 words in edgewise when you kind of try to talk to him sometimes because he's so good at talking.
Yeah,
I love him to death.
A lot of
Yeah, we do a Twitch stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays right now, and it's at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central. And Thursdays has been dubbed Calhoun's Corner. It's basically 2 hours of random thoughts that come through Mike's head, and we talk about bowling, we talked about rock music, we talked about pretty much anything that we wanted to talk about. People in the audience proposed questions, we talked about it. It's really cool because it's very interactive. It's just like this. It's just another outlet for us to share our thoughts and share our love for bowling. We play games on there. We'll play PBA bowling on Tuesdays. That's actually Jameson and Jason. They're from St. Louis, the Missouri area. They run 2 of our stores in that location, in that area, and they play the PBA bowling games. They have a lot of fun. They do a lot of interactions with our audience there. And then on Saturdays, we do just a fun free-for-all day. We'll usually play some interactive games with the audience. I'm actually part of that one normally on Saturdays. So it's just been a lot of fun. It's another outlet for us to share our love for bowling with different people. So.
Yeah, they've been pretty enjoyable. Conversations are fun on there for sure, and to hear the knowledge. If you aren't somebody that would be a subscriber to the idea of gaming, if anything, it's a good thing to sit in there and kind of listen in and put out whatever questions you might have for the people that are in there too. Jameson, I love talking to Jameson. It's funny to talk to him sometimes. He's got such a youthful, energizing, comments to make, and it's just if you love bowling, I think that's one of the things that's really cool is to find these places to kind of chat about stuff. It's been enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, it's Jameson he's going to tell you because he said it in his podcast and on Twitch a few times now that he's talked about how he got started with the company, and he was someone who we brought on pretty much the same year that I came aboard. He came in September, October of 2016 as a part-timer in one of our Vegas stores. He worked for Eric Forkel over at Texas Station, and he trained with Eric for a couple of years, and we had an opportunity to present itself for him to take over a store in St. Louis, and he jumped at the opportunity. And now he went from being a part-time, employee at one of our locations to a store manager for one of our locations. And he's making a career out of it. And most of the guys that work for us are making a career out of it. And I think it's a really good opportunity for those that want to get a step into the bowling business and this side of what we do. We're always looking for talented people. We're always looking for people that have drive and passion, and again, they love it as much as we do. And we offer the opportunity to train people to do those things. You go to our website and you can find the jobs section of our website, and you can fill out an application for interest. And when things kind of get back to normal and we have the opportunity to bring people on board, we'll take a look at your application and give you a shout.
That's pretty awesome. Hey, Coach, here's a good one for you. This one is actually this one's your buddy, our buddy. We see Joe quite a bit in the shop.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends in town. We have the Sunday senior King of the Hill thing, and I miss him a lot. And when we get back on there, you better remember what I said, but not too much because I don't want you to beat me.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Miss you. I really miss you too, buddy.
The time's been really good with you. We certainly enjoyed our time. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed as much as we did.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. And the questions were great. Again, it was really cool to sit here and talk bowling and shop life, and just talking with you guys in general. It's been a lot of fun, and thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Sure thing. Thanks for being on the podcast with us.
You got it, Coach.
The one thing I wanted to make sure we mentioned is that if you are watching, Andrew has been gracious enough to put on. I'll pop a couple of these up to show them. This is where you would want to go and get connected with Twitch. Remind me of all the guys that are involved here. So JMO's on there.
Yeah, so we have Jameson Payton, who's from St. Louis. We have Jason Littau from St. Louis. Will Schnack is part of it. Mike Calhoun's part of it. We'll have a pop-in from Eric Rothenberg every once in a while. He's from St. Louis as well. But the main guys that handle the Twitch channel is going to be Jameson and Jason. And then I kind of moderate the stream. I help make sure that things are running smoothly. And then I participate in the fun on Saturdays with you guys.
Sweet. Now I'm going to pop up. You did mention at the end of some of your comments there about careers. So I'm going to pop that up there just so people.
So that's a link to our website for the career section. It's going to give you a brief description of some of the responsibilities for a store manager. We are looking for other other positions as well. It's not just a store manager, although that is one of the main positions that we hire for. So there's a form that you can fill out at the bottom of that link with your information on there. That'll keep us in, that'll keep you in our files. And then when an opportunity arises, we'll be able to give you a shout and let you know what we have going on. The biggest thing is that we're a nationwide company. So we have stores from California all the way up through Michigan and all the way down south to Florida. So anywhere in between, if an opportunity presents itself for us to take over a location, we'll work with trying to get that location set up for us. And then obviously we look for talented people to come on board and be part of our family too. So if you have the willingness to travel, come on, fill out an application, and we will be in touch.
Sweet. The one last thing that I want to add to what we talked about with the news feed. If anybody goes to or catches an article that we post on Facebook, you can actually click the post, look at the article, read it, and at the bottom, if you have any questions whatsoever, so like when we put things out there for Coach or for John Gaines, Mike Calhoun, all of those feeds have a reply section down below that you can actually click on, and you can ask a question, and at some point somebody will answer you back if you wanted to do it right then and there. That's a good way to pop a question up there, leave it there, and wait for somebody to respond back to you, and then check back and see what the response was. It's a good way to get involvement through some of those articles, and I just thought that that'd be a good thing to kind of throw out there, because I don't know if we've ever really mentioned much of it through some of our sharing and such for the articles that we put out.
Yeah, definitely leave a comment on there if you have a question about something in the article. Please ask that question. Everybody, we have a dedicated team that looks at the website, and when a comment pops up on there, we answer it. So make sure that you don't feel like you can't ask a question, or don't hesitate. We're there for you. So.
Yep, definitely. Well, Coach, you have any final words that you'd like to share or say?
Well, I just think this is great, a lot of fun, and giving you the information. And sometimes we're going to have good, cool people on like we had today. But I just want to thank you, boss. It's been a lot of fun to have you on the show.
Like I said, it was a pleasure. So thank you guys for having me on board, and look forward to seeing who else you guys have.
Yeah,
Great.
no doubt. We do want to add one thing that I think we're going to try to do the best we can to come back to being live fairly regularly up until the pandemic kind of stay-at-home situation is kind of over for sure, and then see where it goes from there. But we will. I think we're going to attempt to do Tuesdays and Fridays at 12 o'clock, and we'll see some events posting. And next Tuesday we have Mr. Mike Dole joining on with us from Brunswick. So I thought that would be something really good to share. Friday, we're going to try and see if we can find somebody. So we were going to try to do one of the local proprietors here. The time frame doesn't work out. They're doing a lot of work to upgrade all the centers around here. So we'll see where that goes.
So that's going to be 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern, if you guys are looking at the time frames of when you want. When we're going to have it, there'll probably be an event made and shared through Facebook. So keep an eye out on the Coach's Corner page and then our personal pages as well. We'll share it.
Sweet. So all right, guys. It's been fun.
We will see you later. Thanks for having me again. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Sure.
See ya.